the show Wednesday is killing the opportunities of original thinkers because, again, there's no originality anymore.
And if that's not enough to sway you, look, directed by Tim Burton. That should be more than enough.
Yeah, it was just cute. Hey there, fellow nerds. You're listening to the Nerdy Fans Podcast. I'm Glee.
And I'm Ray, your host for today. If you're new to the show, welcome. This show is about reviewing the shows that we love to watch, which you might love too. So sit back and relax as you listen to us geek out about these shows.
Hi, Ray.
Hi, Glee.
Merry Christmas in advance, I think.
Oh, definitely. Happy holidays. That's Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And if you're from the Philippines, especially Cebu, Sinulog.
Oh, yes, Sinulog. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. And for our fellow nerdy fans, this episode is going to be simultaneously published at the Gleeful Talkshow because the Zesties on that podcast usually like to listen to some pop culture commentary. So hello, Zesties, as well.
Hi.
All right, Ray. So our episode for today is, drum roll, please.
Wednesday.
All right. Yes. Netflix Wednesday, which is a spin-off of the Addams Family show, which has been redone a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, what is Netflix Wednesday all about anyway?
So Netflix Wednesday is another take of the Addams Family universe. It's, I believe, directed or written by Tim Burton. So it now features a much older Wednesday than what most of us are used to. So this is a high school Wednesday, actually. And it shows us how Wednesday Addams is as a high school student in a place or in a school specific to what they call as outcasts, or, you know, the kind that the Addamses are. Right? So, Glee, could you also tell our listeners out there a few fun facts about the show?
Yes, so there has been a lot of buzz in the streaming universe about this, and this has actually broke the record in as Netflix's most streamed show of all time, which broke the record of season 4 of Stranger Things.
Yes.
And incredibly, a lot of moments in the show is also, I'd say, TikTok worthy, or, you know, like, I forgot the term now. I'm such a millennial now. I forgot the term.
It's Gen Z's world now, right?
Yes. So, but the dance
right.
Yes, the dance was choreographed by Jenna Ortega herself, which is now really, even Lady Gaga has taken her take on it as well in TikTok.
Which is amazing, considering that Lady Gaga is a pop culture icon for, I believe, more than a decade now. And, you know, for somebody like her to follow that, and especially that Jenna Ortega, Wednesday Addams, as we should say, to have done it herself, it's a humongous honor. So is it safe to say that that's also one of your favorite scenes? Because the internet loves that scene, right?
Yes, definitely. And I must say to our fellow nerdy fans out there that there's gonna be spoilers ahead. It's just really difficult to review such a show without saying any spoilers, Ray, right?
Absolutely. And look, I'm one who, if you're watching this, I would assume that a lot of you have already seen the show and you just wanted to hear two nerds in their mid-30s geeking out on something like this, because probably you are too.
Yes, indeed. And actually, that's based on our listener profile as well. It's around our age anyway. So hello there, fellow nerds.
Hello there.
And then there's other fun facts that I've digged in the internet, such as, so Ortega actually took fencing classes, archery, canoeing, and German lessons, for which she actually put to good use during a scene in the Pilgrim World where she spoke in German, which is very, very fun to watch.
It is amazing. And another fun fact is, if I'm not mistaken, she learned a cello right about 8 months. And unlike the rest of the internet, nothing against her dance, but funny enough, for somebody like me who is not as musical, that was actually my favorite scene where she was playing the cello. And Paint in Black, that song, I heard it the first time in a video game didn't really care much for it because, again, as I mentioned before, I'm not really into music. But the way Jenna Ortega played it in that scene was just phenomenal. And yeah, I do have that on loop sometimes while I'm working in the office. And no shame in that, really.
Wow, wow. That's also one of my favorite scenes as well,
Yep.
Ray. And it's just funny how morbid your playlist would be at work sometimes, but that's good to know.
I'm not denying that. And if we're talking about fun facts and things about the show, also note that Christina Ricci is actually one of the main characters of the show. And that's saying something because Christina Ricci was probably the Wednesday Addams that our generation or those who grew up in the 90s know. She played Wednesday in the first and second Addams Family movie. And here she's playing one of the professors. So I'd like to stop it right there because I might spoil way too much than we already should.
Yes, yes. Thanks for that, Ray. And also, speaking of Christina Ricci, did you know that Pugsley is her son in real life?
Oh, really? That I
Yeah.
actually did not know. Now, speaking of Pugsley, how do you feel about their portrayal of Pugsley?
Well, actually, to be honest with you, I actually forgot now how the Pugsley in the previous versions were. So, not really, I'm not feeling it yet. And I think maybe for you first, because I think we can delve into that much deeper later on.
Oh, yeah. So for me, look, I understand that this is another take of the Addams Family. Nothing wrong with that. It's like the Marvel Cinematic Universe being different from the actual Marvel comics, right? But I've always viewed Pugsley as not really equal to Wednesday. He has always been portrayed as somebody who was willing to follow his big sister around. But for him to be easily bullied in school and not being able to fight back, that's not the Pugsley we know. The Pugsley we know would have chopped their heads off and was just so innocent about it, right? So that was my view of it. Another one is regarding Pugsley is that he seems way too young. He was always like a year or two younger than Wednesday in my book. But again, this is a new interpretation. I'm not totally 100% agreeing with how they portrayed Pugsley. But hey, there's a reason why all of us want season 2, right?
Yes,
We're just looking.
yes.
It's just a good series.
Yes, yes. And I'm actually looking forward to season 2. And speaking of, just season 1 for now,
Yep.
with the characters and all, what are your opinions on the casting itself?
Look, if I'm going to look at the characters, I'll try to isolate it with just around 3 of them. Gwendolyn Christie. Everybody knows her. Everybody loved her in Game of Thrones. Everybody loved her in Sandman as Lucifer. And to be fair, she is amazing. In fact, she is probably my favorite character in season 1. You know, she flawlessly portrayed Principal Weems. And if I'm not mistaken, Gwendolyn Christie was quoted in saying that this role made her feel beautiful. And you can just see it. She nails that role. I love the casting. Jenna Ortega, the main character, your Wednesday Addams, beautifully done, right? She does her role justice. So I love it to bit. Emma Myers, who played her sort of best friend Enid, because that's always up in the air, she portrayed her role really well, and almost everybody else. Now, here's a little question for you, though, Glee. With regard to Wednesday's father, the patriarch of the Addams family, Gomez Addams, how do you feel about Luis Guzman's portrayal? Because this is the first time I think we've seen, a full Latino playing the role.
Yes, yes, that's a very interesting question, Ray. And even the internet is also quite divided in this area. But to me, Luis Guzman actually, he had a refreshing take, in my opinion, of Gomez and his chemistry with Morticia, and Catherine Zeta-Jones is perfect for Morticia. And I like that he took on that much more like fatherly role to Wednesday, because I think there's a very interesting dynamic between Wednesday and Morticia in this take of Addams Family. So it's good to see different parental dynamic as well to counter the dynamic of Morticia and Wednesday. How about you?
Well, personally, look, nothing against Luis Guzman. Portrayed it really well for what it's worth, because as you've said, he is actually a far more fatherly figure in the series. That being said, for us who grew up with the original Addams Family, we definitely know Gomez Addams to be more debonair, romantic, your typical Spanish hero. So again, nothing against the current actor, but I would have preferred somebody like, say, Antonio Banderas to be.
But who is Zorro, right? Zorro.
No, who is also Zorro and was paired up with Catherine Zeta-Jones. But
Yeah.
that aside, that's the kind of Gomez Addams that we kind of grew up with, the more romantic one. But then I also have to look at it maybe slightly from a producer or director's point of view. Doing that would have meant that those two stars, powerhouse stars, would have stolen the show, and it would have taken away from Jenna and the others. So in a sense, risky but good actor choice, right?
Yep. Yes, definitely. And I wanted to comment about, again, Gwendolyn Christie, which I see everywhere now.
Yep.
So okay, I agree with you that she was like stunning and really perfect Principal Weems, and this was, as you mentioned, she felt most beautiful in this show because this is only the show so far that she was able to be on full makeup, red lipstick, etc. But I would like her to speak in a different accent. I think that's just because she's always doing a British accent. I wanted her to do like, I don't know, like American accent, like very different to like Brienne of Tarth, or because all of the shows after Game of Thrones, I've just seen her do her normal accent. So that's just my nitpicking there again, but still, yeah.
That's completely valid. And tell you what, I think that's a good idea. And sorry, listeners, minor spoiler. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll be seeing her in season 2. Right?
Really?
That really hurts. Absolutely. But, well, it is what it is. But I honestly wish the directors didn't do what they did to her and to a few others.
Like, didn't give her character justice enough, right?
Not enough.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
If I talked about stealing the show before, if there's anyone who I would say was able to steal this show, it was Gwendolyn Christie. Amazing actor. Nothing taken from Jenna Ortega. I look forward to her in season 2. Please give us a season 2, dear directors. But Gwendolyn Christie, damn, that she could have been way, way more.
I wanted to talk about this later, but since we're on the topic now, I wanted to say, so I have a theory though. So my theory is, it's either, I also wanted her to be back in season 2, but based on my little birds on the internet.
Okay.
So most likely that's why she might be gone in season 2, because the producers might want Morticia to be the next principal in Nevermore. That's the tweeting of my little birds up in the World Wide Web.
That is an interesting tweet, an interesting theory. And if it was true, I would really look forward to that. I don't think I've seen Catherine Zeta-Jones as a principal or an educator role, but that would be awesome. And I look forward to her interpretation if that really does happen.
Yeah, but I still feel she should come back in season 2, because as you said, like there's no justice in her character. She was supposed to be like this awesome, powerful shapeshifter, and to be the principal of the outcast school, you should be like that powerful, right? So,
exactly.
And like she was just there, and then boom. I mean, I'll not say how she, but yeah, they just because wait. Actually, are we certain that she's going, like how she, up in the air or stuff like that? Or
put it this way, I'm sure our dear listeners have already made out on regarding Principal Weems' possible or her fate based on the series. I do think it is what it is. It's just for me, it's just the way she went out was really weak. And as you mentioned, somebody that powerful and that strong shouldn't have gone the way she did. If I'm wrong and she does come back because she is that awesome, then I'm happy to be proven wrong.
Mm. Yeah, there should be a twist to it. Like,
Yep.
I'm just hoping that there should be a twist to it, but
One of the
I mean,
characters. Yep.
yeah. It's kind of sad, but anyway, which characters would you like to comment more on? Is there any other minor ones that you'd like to highlight?
Well, a minor one and a little bit of a fun fact is Ricky Lindholm, the Wednesday Addams' psychologist or psychiatrist.
Ah, okay.
Right. Reason why I mention her is because I was a Big Bang Theory fan, and she was actually one of the minor characters in Big Bang Theory as well. And she played that role beautifully. And seeing her again is like, for a Big Bang Theory fan, it's quite a great nostalgia. Great to know that she's still running in the game. Right?
I'm a Big Bang Theory fan too, but I just couldn't remember where she was in.
She was
there.
probably just around 2-3 episodes. She was Dr. Ramona Novitsky, and she was the really smart doctorate student of Sheldon Cooper.
Ah, okay, now
Yep.
I remember. Yep.
Yep.
Ah.
So that's why seeing her, I was like, oh, awesome. She's around, it's great. But then to segue a bit as well, maybe again, this is why those of us who grew up in the 90s, seen the movies and the cartoons about the Addams family, it's quite strange and unusual, and I don't totally agree with it, that Wednesday Addams would go see a shrink. I mean, the Addams family that we know of would have told everybody off for even suggesting that, because she's an Addams. She doesn't need that, I mean, what do you think?
Yes, so that's a very interesting comment there. However, what I think is because they wanted to keep up with the times, and then they wanted to show to the viewers, especially the demographics of this show, that, mental health is important, and the Addams family, let's say, shouldn't be normalized kind of thing, that you would still need some professional to help you process the emotions or the thoughts that how like an Addams think. So I think that's what they're thinking in that way. This is just a theory again. So, but I totally agree with you. I also thought that why did they put in this part or, inserted these kinds of things, but just to rationalize it, I guess they're just really keeping up with the times.
I suppose if we're going to try to rationalize that, I would understand your point. But again, and this is the last bit I talk about this thing, but the Addams were never normal. To try to make them normal is just wrong on so many levels. That's why we love the Addams family, because they're strange, they're wacky, and spooky at the same time, But that being said, again, very happy that Ricky Lindholm was there. Very happy with that portrayal of Jenna Ortega and Gwendolyn Christie. Right?
Yes, definitely. And what do you think about the structure of the show? Because the Addams family that we grew up in, it wasn't a murder mystery kind of thing, right?
It wasn't, definitely not. But again, and probably to return back to your theory, maybe it's also them trying to keep up with the times because, murder mysteries, there has been quite a few shows that have come out that's like that. And let's be honest here, as much as we love the Addams family and how their house, especially their iconic house and whatnot, and their dynamics, that's probably been done so many times. And the focus of the show is really Wednesday Addams rather than the family itself. As somebody who loves the Addams family, I wish it wasn't. But Wednesday is an awesome character, and putting her in a school with that kind of mystery and seeing how an Addams works it out, it's pretty fun. And there is a reason why that fun has now translated into the show being one of the top, if not the top show on Netflix, right?
Yes, and actually also I didn't expect that the structure of the show would be like a murder mystery kind of thing, because when I saw the trailer and stuff, like, oh, there's a Wednesday show and I've seen Addams Family before, but it didn't come to mind that they will incorporate a murder mystery type of thing, which I am very pleased about actually. And it does give me Scooby-Doo vibes, don't you think?
It does. It does. It kind of combines a lot of the tropes of when the older Addams Family material came out. So 60s, 70s, a lot of those murder mystery cartoons from Scooby-Doo to that other show where
Nancy
there's a ghost
Drew
dog.
or I don't know.
Those things, so it's in some way, it's tying up all those roots from its older era. And again, it's refreshing. I really do like it. For us, especially in the older generations, to our listener, it's always a challenge to try to divorce our minds from what we already know. And well, this is for those who are not too sure about this show. Again, give it a try, be open about it, and see it for what it is. And maybe then you'll be able to see why it's one of the best shows out there.
Yes, and I really like that because I'm a murder mystery fan actually, and
Okay.
I really love watching these types of shows, like just summon Detective Conan, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, I really love these types of shows. And there were other shows, actually recent shows that maybe was kind of incorporated as well in this type of show. Like it gives me the Scooby-Doo / Riverdale type of vibes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've watched Riverdale, but
I've seen probably the first 2 seasons. I can't remember
I
anymore.
didn't finish all of the seasons as well, but it has that like teenage murder mystery type of thing. And the gothic take is cherry on top, right? So
Oh, definitely. And just because we talked a bit about Riverdale and those shows, I just want to point out that, at least in my opinion, Wednesday is more truer to form, less reinvention compared to Riverdale, which was really a reimagining of the Archie universe. This one, while it's different, it's in many ways the Addams Family that you do understand or you are familiar with, just with a more
Yes.
modern take.
Yes. However, no matter, how beloved a show is, there are still some people who don't think it's good. And I can understand why, actually. So I've read some comments online that the show Wednesday is killing the opportunities of original thinkers because, again, there's no originality anymore. Then it would give a premise to everyone that, okay, I'm just not going to do original material because I'm just going to remake old stuff, just so that I could get more money and it is much more well received, etc. So what is your opinion on that?
Look, the way I see it, people are entitled to their own opinion, but to say that creativity is being stifled or not welcomed, it's just a silly thought because creativity is something that gets born naturally, to the point that it helped Netflix over the years. I mean, look, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, one of the top anime right now, born from a video game. It's an original take, so much so that it was so good that it revived that game, which was doing very badly. Another one is Arcane. I would have wanted to do a show of that, but how unfortunate. Based again on another game, but again, it's a lot of it is original. The Witcher. My God, one of the best series to come out for the past few years, right? And when we talk about Trece, as far as the Philippines is concerned, very successful, right? So people who say that it prevents, redoing or reimagining shows, prevents creative thinking, prevents originality, well, I'm sorry. I highly disagree with you because originality happens every day.
Good one, Ray. And are there any specific scenes that you really like or disliked that you wanted to share with our nerdy fans out there?
Again, with regard to my favorite scenes, I already said earlier, it was the cello. Very well done. Yep. From the facial expression to the notes to how it was portrayed. Again, so awesome. Listen to it on loop while I'm at work every now and then. Another scene, I suppose, I will admit the dance scene was wonderfully done, and how she was able to dance using that really deadpan look. It's like Wednesday as a high schooler that you probably expect her to be if she was forced to dance, and I honestly think she was forced to dance. What about you? What do you, besides those two, let's not cheat, what are your favorite scenes?
Yeah, okay, besides those two, but I must say I also like the dance and the cello. That's also in my list. So other than those, the Piranha, the opening, I really like that. And especially like when Pugly said that, Wednesday, what are you going to do? And then she said, what I do best. And it was like the delivery is, on point. And there's also the scene where this is going to be a spoiler, but there's a scene where Tyler confessed about himself during the police investigation, I think at the last bit.
Yes.
Then he kind of like, changed expression.
Yep.
Which is right, like, okay, this is quite a good actor as well. How the change in the facial expression and the vibe just change dramatically, but in a subtle way at the same time. So that was really good too. And I'm also a sucker for love stories, right? So I like their first meeting with Xavier when she was in the infirmary. So I like that part.
Okay, that's really great. But again, with Tyler, when I'm looking at him, I understand there was that change, but throughout the entire series, I've always viewed him as bland. I'm so sorry. But even during his little confession, I was like, my God, this is so deadpan. Probably worst. The thing is with Wednesday, I understand the look. With him, it was just like, you are boring in general.
Okay. Yep.
That's just my view.
That. Yeah, I respect that view. Yes.
Yep.
And well, speaking of Tyler, so since we're on the topic, so which love story are you rooting for?
Okay, this might sound really mean of me, but actually none. And look, it's nothing personal. I know it's an original take, but Addams Family and Wednesday Addams, love doesn't come to mind, really. To me, it's about comedic horror and not romance for romance sake. And if I have to choose whose love that I'm rooting for all the time, it's Gomez and Morticia. Because
nice
that is the love story that, quite honestly, a lot of geeks would want, And Wednesday, she's just not, even as an adult, I don't see Wednesday as the falling in love too much type. If she has to fall in love with someone, if you can call it love at all, I would think she would fall in love with somebody who is similar to her, just like her.
Which is kind of like what slightly happened.
Well, I wouldn't say that. Oh, well, okay, you might put it that way, but it's like, nah, still a bad one. So.
Yep. So, yeah, you do have a point there. But if I might have to choose, I was actually juggling between the two because when a character is drawn into the opposite of her. So, but in the end, kind of like Xavier, I'm Team Xavier. And the thing is, though, anyway, a lot of people thought as well that they don't have that much chemistry.
They don't. So sorry, they don't.
Then it seems like that she had more chemistry with Enid and Thing,
Absolutely more chemistry with Thing. Definitely would agree with that. And well, maybe and I'll be honest, maybe it's also me because while certain people like opposites attracting, I'm personally the kind of guy that likes things to pair up in the same way, or I'm not somebody who would choose somebody who's opposite. So maybe that's partially why, but mostly I just do not see Wednesday Addams in a relationship that way. She's Wednesday Addams,
I'm also surprised actually that they threw in the love element.
Yep.
But I kind of thought, again, me rationalizing that they kept up with the times, and I think they're trying to make it like a Riverdale-ish type as well. And because Wednesday is in her teenage years, that's why there's something like that. But I did think that it was out of character for her to go to Tyler. She went. That was out of character, I think.
Very out of character. Again, bias speaking, but I really don't think Wednesday Addams would have gone for Tyler. And if I'm going to be fair, if there is somebody who she would have gone for in that cast, it would have been Xavier because they're of the same species, I would say.
Yep. And there was a scene not related to this season Addams Family, but the 1990s Addams Family. I don't know if you've seen somewhere also in YouTube that, so Christina Ricci was there as the kid, right?
Yes.
And then the guy was saying like, oh, what do you do when a guy adores you, worships you? Have you seen that?
Oh, that's in the movie. That's in the movie.
Yeah. And then she said, I'd pity him. This is such a Wednesday iconic
that is the Wednesday Addams that should have been when she was confronted with like suitors. that is what she would have said. That's
But
what.
I would say maybe they rushed it too much, the love story element, maybe. So maybe if they would have been planning more seasons, they kind of like maybe just tease
Yeah.
it a little bit and not really go all out.
That
I
could have
think,
been.
right?
That could have
Just
been the
to
case.
at least maybe like a character development type of
Yes.
thing for Wednesday that she will open up. But she opened up too early for Wednesday herself, right?
Way too soon.
Yeah, way too
and,
soon.
Yep. A, way too soon. B, wrong guys, and that's plural. and C, the Wednesday Addams that we love and that's still in my head canon is the one who wouldn't open up at this stage, probably in her late 20s, with the right Collie Macabre guy.
Yep. So yeah, I do get the hesitations there
Yeah.
and the comments there. So yeah, I kind of slightly agree, but yeah, I'm still always going for some love story just because. But
Just
anyway, yeah. And what do you have any favorite lines that come to mind?
To be honest, I don't really have a favorite line. Perhaps I could not remember any favorite lines. But if I had to choose, and you just said it earlier, it would be what I do best. Because, that's definitely Wednesday Addams. She will do what she believes is right, and do it her way, the Addams way, right?
The Addams way, exactly. And the reason why I'm just remembering this because I've watched the show twice now. So I really like the delivery of Jen Ortega and how she just throws in the lines with that deadpan
Yep.
expression, but subtle things that she does and how she says it. So for example, if you remember when she was kidnapped in the nightshades,
Yes.
and then
That was fun.
she went up and then she said that it's amateurs like you who give kidnapping
Kidnappers
a bad name.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
it's just so funny.
it's so
And-
funny. And I think her words and her, like you said, her expression, she just does it so well.
Yeah, and how she is like an epitome of like an independent teenager, I'd say. Because there was one time when she was investigating, right, the murders, and
Yep.
then okay, let's say a character said like, "Wait, you don't think that I'm the monster?" And then she said, "I don't think, I know." But it's very Wednesday, right?
It's a very Wednesday. But funny enough, for those of us who watch the show, despite the fact that she is so sure of herself, maybe there is that human element because she's been wrong. Like
Yes.
she's been wrong, and not to spoil anything, but you'll see it. So maybe it's a good way to show that just because you have the smarts and just because things do seem logical, sometimes you have to dig a little deeper to get to the bottom, right?
And that's a good point as well that you mentioned the human element because although she's the titular character, right? Although she's portrayed as the anti-hero of the show, then she's still not invincible. So if you remember when she was doing the fencing with Barclay, she
Yep.
lost there. So I like that how they put that in that she's not going to be invincible even though she's Wednesday Addams, etc.
Yep, definitely. And it's a good call, I think. It adds to that, it adds to her motivation. And you could see it, her motivation to be the best and to be better than everybody else. Of course, people may have thoughts about that, but it's what helped make the show great.
Yeah. And there's still some more lines that I have here in my list, which is funny enough, like about saying about she's better than everyone else. So there was one time, I don't know if you remember, that she overheard Xavier and Barclay
yes.
in the
Yep.
Poe Cup scene. She said, "For the record, I don't believe I'm better than everyone else, just that I'm better than
you, right? That was an amazing line again, but maybe it's also good to show that teenager side because if you recall, as teenagers, we had those kinds of times as well, right?
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And it's a school, and it shows how Wednesday has more or less growing up. Again, may not be 100% how we pictured it, but A, we're not Tim Burton, B, we're not movie directors to begin with, and C, again, and I've said this in other episodes, let's just enjoy how it's being interpreted, right?
Yeah.
And this school is amazing. The way it was shown in school is amazing. And speaking of school, Glee, if you were a character in this school, who would you be? Or what would
in
you
the
be
school, in the school, or just in the show?
in the show?
Okay, I would say actually, I would be Thing.
Okay.
Because, yeah, I mean, like, Thing is very much in touch with his emotions, his vein and stuff. He likes the...
He's a hand. Well,
Yeah,
okay.
he's a hand. There was a time that Wednesday thinks that he's in the room because she can smell the neroli and bergamot in his hand
Yes.
lotion, which is like, oh, okay, this is so me. How about you?
Well, to be fair, thinking about this question, I'd probably be a bit more of an original character, but so original that I would blend the background because I'll be separate from everybody else. I'll probably be the peculiar one among his group of friends who are outcasts among outcasts, just in many ways, just how I was back when I was in school. My interaction with Wednesday, I would think, would be extremely minimal. I'd leave her alone, truthfully, because I know she's an outcast, different, but my friends and I wouldn't be going out searching for other friends. We just gather naturally. And I think Wednesday would appreciate that we keep the distance, I would say.
Yes. Well, that's a very good one, Ray. And how about Uncle Fester? What do you think about him as a character there?
Look, I forgot who portrayed him or his name, but he portrayed him really well. That was a really great Uncle Fester. And if I'm not mistaken, one of the more mystical amongst the cast of characters that really showed some sort of magic or whatnot, right? Casting spells and all, and in his case, electricity. And the way that they portrayed him, how silly he was, how jovial he was, that's the Uncle Fester that, again, we also know. Less fat than the Uncle Fester that we know, but still very great, right? What about you? What do you think of this Fester?
Not really. No, I'm on the opposite side.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe because I felt it's just very short, his screen time. Maybe I didn't really appreciate that much. And he is less creepy than I would have imagined. Maybe, yeah. And although I'm hoping for Cousin It to be on this one, but maybe they would explore it in season 2. I'm not sure.
Hopefully. Cousin It and Grandma. I like Grandma.
I was really hoping for Cousin It because of the hairy stuff, but let's see. And what is your opinion on the twist of the story? Were you expecting it, not expecting it, or you have a hint already?
They did it very well until near the end, kept you guessing on who the true villain was. Put it this way, if you watch a show, those characters are probably in your radar of suspicion. But to what extent are they responsible for being the top antagonist? They did it very well in hiding who it really was until the end. And I really like that. It's awesome. It's almost the same feeling I got when we found out in Harry Potter that it was Quirrell who was the villain and not Professor Snape. If I didn't see Harry Potter and just watch Wednesday, that's probably the vibe I would have gotten, honestly.
I wanted to say that too, that it has like a little bit of Harry Potter vibes just because of the school theme and supernatural. And I'm really hoping sometime soon that Harry Potter will be a series.
Oh,
yeah, but I know it's going to be hard to replace the original, I feel, because it's just really embedded in our brain. So what do you think? This is again a bit of the segue, but what do you think of a Harry Potter series soon?
Hey, look, if they were able to do this to Wednesday and, make something really great out from an old material like the Addams Family, they can definitely do that for Harry Potter. And Harry Potter as a series, it would be fantastic. 7 books, 7 seasons, right there for the taking.
I even think that 1 season equals 1 book. I think it's still too less. I think that they would need more season. Let's say 10.
Well, perhaps, but I think
too much.
I think it might be too much. And this is just me again thinking out loud. But sometimes a lot of shows, animes, or whatnot, they become stale because people just don't know how to end it. Look, I stopped watching Boruto after probably 10 episodes because I've already had Naruto. I've stopped Game of Thrones. I think I stopped that because it went really bad when no material was found. So again, for me, if it goes too long, even if Wednesday goes too long, it could be really bad, right? Big Bang Theory, if I'm going to segue back to that again, right? I think it also went too long. So,
Yep.
so
Yeah.
if it's Harry Potter that we're talking about, 7 books, 7 seasons, that's it. Find a way.
Okay, I respect that. Let's rate Wednesday. What is your rating for Wednesday?
If I'm going to be truthful, probably 9 out of 10.
Okay.
For me, it is that good. It is amazing. Again, probably that one, maybe because I have some differences in opinion with partially the portrayal of the character, but that's not enough to make it go lower. And of course, the forced romance, I just don't think it had a
The
place.
forced romance.
Yeah, so again, Wednesday Addams, I know she's a teenager, I know it's high school, but really, this was, for me, unnecessary. I would have been preferred if, if there were some guys like Xavier Tyler that liked her, she would have done her best to have really put them in their places. That would have been the Wednesday that I would have known. Not one who would give one of them a kiss. That's just
that was really out of character.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
See? 9 out of 10 justified on my end. What about you?
9.5 actually.
Okay.
Because I wanted the love story anyway, So I'm a sucker for that, and these tropes, they kind of work for me. And although I know that this is Adam's family and it's difficult, but yeah, I kind of see your point as well. But yeah, it was just cute. Anyway, what are your overall thoughts on Wednesday?
My overall thoughts is that completely justified that it became one of the, if not the top show on Netflix. The series is just that amazing. I know it, as I've mentioned on the show, it has its differences, but it does justice to the Addams Family franchise, to the Addams Family universe. And if that's not enough to sway you, look, directed or was it written by Tim Burton? That should be more than enough to stoke your childhood memories.
Nostalgia,
right?
yeah.
And your nostalgia, right? So there we go. Must watch, as far as I can tell, must watch.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. And although it seems like a paradox, right? Because, like Wednesday and it had that love element, etc. But it shouldn't stop us from watching it. Or maybe if people might think it's too, how do you call that? It's too much. Like they are seeing it everywhere, but there's a reason why, right? Yeah, they're seeing it everywhere now because it's just that good.
I have to concede to that, but still, I have my biases. I still would have like, nope. If this was Witcher, then yes, completely justified. Wednesday Addams, nope.
All right. And Ray, so what will you be watching this Christmas break?
I'm not 100% sure, but there's an upcoming movie called Violent Night, and that's a badass Santa Claus trying to save a family using perhaps violence, I would say.
My God.
And it is being played actually by Eleven's dad.
Oh, wow. Really? Okay.
Yep. So hang on. I forgot his name. David Harbour. So the sheriff in Stranger Things. He's playing Santa Claus, who will whack you with his sack full of toys.
Is it like in a streaming service or?
No, this is going to be
Film,
on a film, really. So I think I'm going to be watching that, yeah.
And Witcher's coming up, right?
Witcher is coming up. That's definitely something that we have to watch,
And review.
All right. Of course, as many of you watchers already know, there's going to be a new Witcher. I'll give Hemsworth a shot, but my expectations are down.
Yeah. But that's going to be next year, I think. But the current one now is more of like a prequel, isn't it?
Yes, it is a prequel during the time of the elves.
Yes. But next year, he's still going to be there, isn't he? Or
he is going to be in Witcher. Henry Cavill will still be your Witcher for Witcher 3. But for Witcher 4, it's going to be Liam Hemsworth.
I'm not really enthusiastic about that. But yeah, Witcher.
Witcher, we'll give him a shot. And if from the first episode I don't like him, I'm stopping.
Yep. So, Ray, please invite our nerdy fans and zesties to our podcast.
Dear nerdy fans and zesties, this is your Nerdy Fans podcast. If you like geeking out, learning about shows, talking about shows, or just watching two millennials diss things that they may or may not like, come have a chat with us, listen to our podcast. That's a Nerdy Fans podcast and Gleeful Talkshow.
Thank you, Ray, and thank you, everyone. I'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.